Hey, good morning, Morris. Love your channel, and I love the that idea when people can call in and ask you a question directly, and you answer them from time to time. Um, I've heard a recent, I would say maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe not too sure. Um, you mentioned about somebody that you knew in New Jersey, and he owned maybe 1,500 to 2,000 properties. Um, that's something. I mean, that's really awesome. I was just wondering if you could talk more about that or make a quick video just on how certainly somebody can actually acquire that many properties. That's I don't know. For me, that's great motivation, and does sound a little bit unreal, but if you could share a few you know stories about them, that would be great. Thank you, Morris. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for the question. So this is a great question. I don't get this question a lot or ever really, but this idea like, hey, inspire me a little bit here. Teach me this guy's story. How did he do it? Um, and I will. I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's a friend I met a number of years ago when I was really kind of starting out wholesaling real estate in New Jersey. And I would find deals and bring them to him that he would then renovate and place tenants in there and so forth. So at the point, I think at the time that I met him, he had about 1,800 doors. So 1,800 doors. So he owned like a lot of 4 unit, 5 units, 2 units, 3 units, that sort of thing. All over Newark, New Jersey was his primary market that he loved, and he was expanding into different suburbs and so forth as well. So the way that he did it, he told me, we in fact were in the neighborhood. He took me to the neighborhood where he bought his first property, and it was a duplex. If I have good memory recall, it was a duplex, and it needed a ton of work. And I think he said he bought it for about 80,000 at the time, and it was a total crap hole. I mean, it was like a shell. It needed a ton of work. He had to put something like $150,000 into the property. Okay. So now he's into this thing almost $220,000 after he renovated it. So he got a loan, right? He got I don't know if he had the 80,000 or not. I don't know where his funding at the time, but I do know that he got money from the bank to do the renovation, if I'm not mistaken. So he got money either from a private money lender or hard money lender or the bank. I don't recall. And then he renovated it, placed tenants in the property, and was cash flowing, and it looked great. He did a great job with the renovation, and then he refinanced it, and he pulled the money back out of it and rinsed and repeated. This is buy, renovate, rinse, and repeat, right? This is the process of the BRRRR method. So that's what he did, and then he bought 4 unit, five, on and on and on and over the many years, and and he was still a relatively young guy. Like we would go out and talk cameras because we were both camera freaks and photography people. So we would go out to lunch, and he's like, "Great, well," he's like, "I don't even want to talk about real estate. Let's talk about cameras." and I'd be like, "No, I want to talk about real estate. I want to pick your brain." And yeah, that's how he did it. Look, New Jersey's not easy, and so he didn't have the time to go out and find deals. He relied on wholesalers like myself, and he'd pay me a finder's fee of like $10,000 to bring him a deal. I'd bring him a deal, and he'd pay me for it after we closed on it, and he'd start the renovation, and he'd say, "All right, find me another one." So he didn't have the time, but he did set up his own office as a property management team. So he had like, I don't know, I was in his office many times. I'd go to get my check after I gave him a deal, and he'd cut me a check. So yeah, he set up an entire property management office where he had people managing the properties. He turned it into a full-time job. And so Frank, I kind of want to, it's a great inspirational story how he was able to do this, find contractors, do all the work, and build a business around it. And if that's something that you want to do, this is a great inspirational piece for you to think about. However, if you want to live a life creating financial freedom for yourself and passive income, you don't need 2,000 units. You could do it with 8 or 10 or whatever your freedom number looks like, and build the life that you want. That's what we do at Morris Invest. Like we help people who are busy, doctors and lawyers and other people. They don't want to be out finding contractors and doing that. They want to own great rental properties, and they want it fully managed by a great property management team, full service. So you kind of need to weigh those things, I think, right? because it's a ton of work. I would go to these projects and see these guys renovating these properties in New Jersey and pulling the permits and getting oil tanks out of the ground, which are a huge environmental nightmare. Getting the asbestos piping from that they have to remove and get that remediated, and on and on and on and on. It can be it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. So it matters. It's just a matter of like, what kind of life do you want to create for yourself? And I think it's a great question. But yes, absolutely, certainly inspiring. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing to the channel, becoming a member here. It's been great to have all of you grow with us. Please go over to our website. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail question, you can do so by going to morrisinvest.com, and there's a microphone button on the side of the screen. Just click that, and you can leave us a 30-second voicemail question about anything that's on your mind, whether it's financing, real estate, whatever it is, and we will listen to it here. Now go out there, take action, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build and maintain your wealth. We'll see you next time.